everybody. This week I wanted to talk a little bit about a new tune that I'm going to try to put out as this month's Insider's release. If everybody remembers from a few videos ago, we talked about some of the new songs that were in the works. Our Insider's release back in December was actually a tune that was written last year called Surrounds Me. And there was another tune, one other tune that's been written since then, although I only have a working title for it so far. It's called The Bee Song, right? So the Bee Song was actually inspired by kind of a funny story, and that's what I'd like to talk about this week. So it all started on Facebook, that F word, with some just kind of funny banter that was happening online on my personal Facebook page. I was on my way into work one day. I ride the train into New York City from where I live, and there was a bee flying around in the train car this day. This was September of last year. And I happened to be online from the train, which I usually am, trying to get things done. And I had Facebook up, so I kind of impulsively wrote a post. And the post said pretty much this: I find it a little bit sad that the bee stuck in our train car, even if she makes it out, will likely never find home again. Then again, maybe she's just sick and tired of all that rat race, slaving for the monarch, hive mind crap, just like everyone else on the train. So this kicked off a bunch of funny comments from friends. People kind of bantered back and forth. I kind of followed up my post with the thought, it may well be that, in her view, overdosing on leavings of Dr. Pepper, popsicle stains, and dirty water dogs in a breezy trash receptacle on Central Park East is the real way to go out. Heaven knows I have those days. So people kind of continued to banter back and forth, making jokes, a lot of people making funny puns about buzzing noises and so forth. A friend of mine posted a link to, when we were talking about slaving away for the monarch, he posted a link to God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols. So all kinds of funny observations were made. But at some point, one good friend of mine wrote, sounds like the making of a song, because we were talking about all these ideas about, the bee, the hive, the queen, right? And striking out on your own. And later on, another good friend who was a big supporter of North back in the day wrote, this was an awesome post and thread, and a truly great song would incorporate all the items mentioned herein, including onomatopoeia and a sample of God Save the Queen as part of the chorus. Joseph, I expect an early demo available for digital download by spring. Of course, she was joking, but at least I think she was joking. But what was funny about it was it actually kind of got the wheels turning a little bit. I can't remember if it was a day or two later that I read those comments. And I was on the train again on my way into work, and I had read those comments, and I actually decided to close my laptop, and I just actually busted out my phone or whatever, and started to make some notes on lyric ideas. This was kind of a song from a process standpoint that was a little bit rare. As we saw weeks ago, there's a video where I talk about the different processes that songs come from. And in this case, this was really an example of a song where the lyrics came first. I just decided to take a whack at writing up some words for this song. So I closed up my laptop and I just started writing. I didn't really think too much about where I was going with it. But I kind of thought about all the ideas that we had thrown around, but writing from the bee's perspective, right? If this really was, if we were to anthropomorphize this bee and say this was some bee that got tired of the workaday, sort of slaving away, and decided to strike out and say, all right, I know I'm not going to survive long on my own, but I'm going to go and do something cool and take a train to New York City. So I know it sounds like a great idea for like a children's book or something, but the lyrics that I ended up with were almost much more sort of philosophical. I didn't go into too much detail about bees or hives or queens or anything like that, although I make a few implications in the lyrics. But I started writing just these lyrics about, you know, the kind of thoughts or feelings that someone has when they decide that they've kind of discovered that they've been working a long time for someone else's plan, for someone else's goals, and maybe suddenly realizing that life's short and they want to do something crazy with whatever time they have left. So that's kind of where the lyrics came from. Now, from a musical standpoint, as I wrote the lyrics, I started to get a little bit of a sense of rhythm and roadmap, but I really didn't have any idea where I was going to go melodically or in terms of chords, or if the song was really going to be, you know, what I wanted to do in terms of vibe, musically speaking. What's interesting is that sometimes when I write lyrics first, like in this case, as I'm writing, I'll get a little bit of a sense of rhythm. Just kind of a vague idea of what the pacing is going to be, how the lines are going to group together. I don't necessarily try particularly hard to make lyrics rhyme or anything like that, but sometimes as I'm writing the lyrics, I sort of get a sense of the flow. And that's helpful because what it lets me do is start to organize the ideas into kind of verses, maybe a chorus. And what I'll find is that sometimes if I'm writing, you know, in a linear form, which when I write the lyrics first, sometimes it happens that way, where it's just sort of a start to finish. Let me just bang out a first cut and then I'll revise. But sometimes when I'm writing that way, I'll get to a point sort of in the middle where I just decide to change it up. And that's nice because I'll use that for a bridge. So I'll kind of write in this kind of structured format. I might have a rhythm in mind, a pace in mind. I'll write a section in the middle that I do a little bit differently, even if I don't know where I want to go with it musically, just to give myself some options to do something a little bit different with a bridge. And then obviously at the end, I'll try to recap the sort of structure I had at the beginning to kind of enable me to write a song that sort of fits to a nice pattern of establishing an idea, developing it, having a little bit of a bridge or breakdown section, and then coming back at the end with a reprise. So that's exactly what I did here. I kind of banged out these lyrics, got myself a first cut actually that morning, and then, you know, over the next few days, whatever, I kind of played with it, made some refinements, made some changes. And then musically speaking, the song's not too terribly complicated, I guess. I mean, once I had the lyrics down and I sort of had revised them and sort of organized them, I had a real sense of where I wanted the song to go rhythmically. And then at that point, it was, you know, kind of a process of pulling up the lyrics with my guitar in hand and sort of playing around and seeing what came up. You know, that process, I actually don't remember too much of exactly how it went down. I know that I was playing around with an alternate tuning, and I'd like to do a video sometime on alternate tunings because sometimes they can be kind of inspirational. It's a really great tool. I was playing around with an alternate tuning that I've used for a few other songs, and I started with a chord in B because I thought that was apropos, and it's just good a place to start as any. And then just started kind of playing around. I'd, you know, play some chords on the guitar, sing a few lines of the lyrics, see if anything came up that I liked that stuck. And then little by little, it kind of crystallized from there. You know, once I sort of had a verse structure, that kind of covered all my verses. And then once you sing through a verse and you head into a chorus, sometimes the verse sort of leads you to where you want the chorus to go and things like that. So that's really how it came about. And you know, I don't remember how long it took. It wasn't too long, but eventually I got a structure put together for the whole tune and got all the chords written down and where I wanted them, and that was pretty much it. That was a tune. It's a little bit silly and kind of folky and basic, but I think it's got some fun potential, particularly for vocal harmony and things like that. I don't know how many harmony lines and how much production I'll be able to put into the rough that I'm going to put together for it. I actually don't have a rough of it yet. I only have it sort of written down. But I am going to try to record a rough of it, and that's what I'd like to be our Insiders release, which I'd like to try to get out before the end of the month, February, if I can. And yeah, I'm curious to see what people think. And I especially have tremendous thanks to my friends Krista and Jennifer and a few other folks online who added to that banter and inspired the song. So I hope you guys like how it turns out. So that's it. Thanks again, everyone, for watching, and talk to you soon.